Welcome back. On behalf of Kababayan Today, ako po si G. Tonji, and we want to congratulate all our graduates for 2016. Napaka-importante po na sinusuporta natin ang ating mga estudyante na nasa kolehiyo. Kamakailan po nagkaroon ng graduation para sa lahat ng mga Pilipino sa University of Los Angeles, California. Tinatawag po na P-Grad. And our All Things Philam correspondent, Dr. O, was their commencement speaker. Gusto po namin ipakita sa inyo ang mga excerpts ng speech niya.
Well, we all know how much Filipinos love our shout-outs, and so I want to begin my very short speech with a few thank yous. Thank you to the Filipino Graduation Committee for hitting me up and extending this invitation. No joke, when I got the email, I literally started tearing up because I could have never imagined being here today giving a commencement speech for what is undoubtedly one of the most vibrant crews of Filipino-American students in the country. To the parents, as well as the lolas, lolos, titas, titos, manangs, manongs, ninangs, ninongs, ates, kuyas, adings, and other friends and family. I want you all to know that today is just as much a moment for you as it is for the class of 2016. And on behalf of the graduates, I want to say salamat, thank you, and thank you for all the love, the support, the food, and most importantly, the money that you've provided all of these years. Take every opportunity that you can to look at your loved ones and to look at each other and soak in every single moment that you can because you've earned it. As mentioned, I could have never imagined being here speaking to you as a Filipino-American professor and a Filipino-American author. Just 5 years ago, I was in these same shoes that you're all in here right now, a student at UCLA, hustling to finish school with barely any money in my bank account. When the organizers of P-Grad asked me to come and speak, they asked me to talk about why I wrote my book, The Latinos of Asia, How Filipino-Americans Break the Rules of Race, which in a nutshell is a book about Filipino-American lives in Los Angeles. And so what I want to do is tell you a quick story about something that happened just 5 years ago that perfectly captures why I wrote this book. Right before graduation, I remember seeing a flyer in Haynes Hall, which is the building right next to Royce, right over there. The flyer was for a study that was being conducted by a group of UCLA scientists. And in it, it said I could earn up to $215 for my participation in the study, and all I had to do was answer yes to the following 2 questions. Number 1, are you Asian American? Well, yes, my parents are from the Philippines, so I guess that makes me Asian. And number 2, do you drink alcohol? Well, remember, I said I was hustling to finish school with barely any money in my bank account. And at this point, I was about 30 years old, still living with my parents. And I was in graduate school for about 7 years, long enough to finish law school twice with a year to spare. Plus, I was being bombarded with those usual questions we get at family parties like, what are you gonna do when you graduate? When are you finally gonna get a job? And perhaps most importantly, when are you going to get married? So hell yes, I was drinking alcohol at the time. And when I saw this flyer, I thought it would be the easiest 200 bucks I'd ever make in my life. So I called up the study coordinator, I set up my appointment, and everything was going just fine until I happened to mention that I was Filipino. And that's when she said, I'm sorry, you're not actually eligible for the study because we can only have Chinese, Japanese, and Korean participants. In other words, Filipinos didn't count. So obviously I was pissed, not only because I missed out on the opportunity to have a few free drinks, but I was pissed because here was this professor at this prestigious university trying to tell me who I was, and funny enough, trying to tell me who I wasn't. And so thinking about why I started to write in the first place, it was because I was tired of moments like these. These moments when we Filipino Americans are made to feel invisible, made to feel like we don't count. I probably penned my very first essay on Filipino American identity back in the year 2000, and for whatever reason, I couldn't get myself to stop writing. And 16 years later, somehow these writings evolved into an actual book. But let me assure you, during those 16 years, I had more than my fair share of heartbreaking rejections. When I was applying to PhD programs to do the research for this book, I got rejected from pretty much every graduate program that I applied to. In the past 5 years, I must have been rejected by over 100 jobs, fellowships, and grants that I've applied to as well. And when I pitched my book to publishers, there were more than a few of them that didn't even bother to write me back. But in the face of these rejections, what kept me going was this idea that our stories mattered. I kept writing because I knew there was something magical that happens when you actually get the chance to read about your experiences in a book, an actual printed book. There's something about seeing yourself in books that makes you really believe that your perspective and that your experiences as a Filipino American have value. That your ideas have something important to teach, not only to your classmates, but to the rest of the world as well. Just 5 years ago, this idea of becoming a professor and a writer, part of me thought I was dreaming too big. But sometimes dreaming big is what you gotta do in order to survive, and so graduates, I wanna leave you with a few parting words. Dream big. The Filipino American community needs big dreams, and it needs all of you to turn these big dreams into unbelievable realities. Like my own journey, I promise you it's gonna be messy, and I'm here to tell you it's okay to be messy. Embrace that messy. Whenever you feel you're the only Filipino in the room, and I promise you there will be many moments when you're the only Filipino in the room, just remember these words from one of my favorite authors, Roxane Gay, who said, "When you can't find someone to follow, you have to find a way to lead by example." In other words, the take-home message is this: be exactly who you think you're supposed to be, and do so unapologetically. I know that my allotted time is over, but given the events of this morning and the past month, I just have to say one more thing. I know that today is a day of joy for all of us, but today is also a day of tragedy for our country. This morning, the city of Orlando, Florida, bore witness to the worst mass shooting in US history. 50 people were gunned down and 53 are still fighting for their lives. The shooting occurred at a nightclub that caters to the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community, and ironically, it occurred during Pride Month, a month intended to celebrate equality, acceptance, and love. Less than 2 weeks ago, UCLA experienced a tragedy of its own. A beloved professor was gunned down and an entire community was shaken to its core. In the face of these tragedies, this is not the time to double down on fear and hate. Again, this is not the time to double down on fear and hate, despite what you might be hearing on television. This is also not the time to double down on apathy and inaction. We need leaders like you to effect real change. And I'm not just talking to the graduates, I'm talking to every single person in this auditorium. Leadership means educating your friends and family about issues that are affecting this world today. And leadership also entails taking every opportunity to crush hate in all its forms whenever you see it, in your schools, in your neighborhoods, and even in your own families. The relationship of the Filipino American community to racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, immigrant xenophobia, and Islamophobia is at a crossroads, and we need every single person in this room, in this community, to help usher our entire community and this country toward the right side of history. And this ever seems like it's too intimidating or too scary, just remember those words from my favorite author again, Roxane Gay, who said, "When you can't find someone to follow, you have to find a way to lead by example." Thank you, class of 2016. Thank you, families. Congratulations. And again, remember to take in this very, very important moment. Thank you.
Congratulations muli! Naalala ko tuloy ang aking graduation, 5 taon nang nakalipas. Ito pong litrato at talagang proud na proud akong itaas ang banderang Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang mga estudyanteng Pilipino. Magbabalik po kami.